All's fair in love and distilling, I guess. Hello and welcome to My Tiny Bottles, the project where I'm exploring my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Coxon. Bottle 124 is Dimple Scots, and it's one of those bottles that I imagine would be irresistible to a collector just for its novelty. This blended Scotch from John Haig & Co. is packaged in a unique three-sided bottle that looks like it's been pinched in or dimpled on the sides. It was so distinctive that in 1958, it was the first bottle shape to be trademarked in the US. But the brand has been around much longer than that. Some people claim that Haig is the oldest Scotch whiskey name, going back to its progenitor, Robert Haig, who began distilling in the early 1600s. His descendants would go on to intermarry with another distilling giant, the Stein family. By 1733, the Stein's distillery in the Kenneppans was the largest in Scotland, and the family were the leading Scottish industrialists of their time. The marriage of John Haig and Margaret Stein in 1751 would go on to birth not one, but two giant whiskey brands. Their eldest daughter, Margaret, married James Jameson, and the two moved to Dublin, where eventually Jameson would found his eponymous company. But it was their son William who would start down the path to the modern Haig Company. The intertwining of the two families continued as he married his cousin Janet Stein and then bailed out her brother Robert Stein, taking over when the Kincaple distillery he'd founded failed. Their son, John Haig, was born in 1802 and in 1824 built the Cameron Bridge Distillery. This is where all the Haig whiskies are still made today, along with a vast quantity of whiskey for other brands. According to the great HaigWhiskey.com fan site where I learned all this history, it should be noted that the Steins and Haigs, while intermarried, were quite ruthless in business and often targeted and took advantage of the other family's financial difficulties to grab each other's businesses over a period of 100 years. All's fair in love and distilling, I guess. John Haig was a founding member of the Scotch Distillers Association in 1865, which became Distillers Company Limited, also known as DCL. This was the amalgamation of several distilleries that, at its peak, controlled over 80% of the domestic and 75% of the worldwide Scotch market. Check out bottles 31, Vat 69, and bottle 32, Seagram's Amandine, for more about DCL and their connection to other bottles in Grandma's collection. Such was the success of their involvement in DCL that in 1888, two of John Haig's sons founded an export business called Haig & Haig to sell their products to the American market. It was this company that would introduce the Dimple bottle in 1893, or more accurately, the Pinch bottle, as it was known in the U.S. Pre-Prohibition, Pinch was marketed as the upscale bottling compared to the 3-star and 5-star Haig & Haig bottlings and other scotches on the market at the time. Of course, Prohibition knocked the wind out of Pinch's sales, but only temporarily, and it was able to capitalize on its pre-Prohibition popularity after repeal. By 1937, Pinch was being marketed as a 12-year-old whiskey with a tagline declaring it the supreme Scotch of senior age. But the start of World War II put an end to the age-statemented whiskey until 1969, when there was a marketing campaign promoting its return. Though I did find one fabulous ad from 1946 offering 2,400 bottles of pre-war 12-year-old Pinch, so there were some highly prized old bottles cached away. Meanwhile, the brand would diversify and build a strong UK following with its Dimple and Gold Label bottlings. By 1939, the Gold Label had become the top-selling Scotch in the home market. It would dominate through 1970, and it was the first brand to sell 1 million bottles in a year. In the 1960s, this was fueled by its oh-so-memorable slogan, "Don't be vague, ask for Haig." James Bond was a Dimple man, drinking it in several of Ian Fleming's novels. Like many Scotch whiskey brands, Haig and Dimple's popularity peaked in the 1970s, before taking a dive during the booze dark ages of the 80s and 90s. By 2000, sales were reportedly only 750 cases per year. Like many Scotch whiskey brands, it has seen a renaissance in recent years. Starting in 2008, Dimple received a boost in the US when Walter White drank it on the hit TV show Breaking Bad. Then in 2014, Haig released a new Haig Club bottle in a marketing collaboration with footballer David Beckham. Today, the brand is owned by Diageo, and for my taste, the new Dimple bottles look bland and boring. I much prefer Grandma's tiny bottle, which is wrapped in gold wire and features an unusual spring cap wrapped in gold foil. The label itself looks delightfully ye olde, which is fitting since this is one of the older bottles in Grandma's collection. It's labeled Dimple Scots, so is the UK version, not the American pinch one, and is marked as 70 proof, which in the old British proof style means 40% ABV. Given Grandma's collecting period and looking at comparison bottles online, I'd guess late 1960s for this one, since in the 1970s the look was updated. All of Grandma's 1960s tiny bottles look like they were purchased across the Atlantic, so I'm wondering if maybe a trip to visit family in England is what got her started on her collecting journey. Spring caps are renowned for their tight seal, so while this bottle is super dusty on the outside, it's very full on the inside. I'm really excited to taste this little piece of Scotch whiskey history. I've had great luck with the other Scotches in Grandma's collection so far. Are you a Dimple or Pinch fan? Tell me all about it in the comments, either here or on my website or social media. You'll find me at mytinybottles.com, on Instagram and Facebook as @mytinybottles, and on Blue Sky as @TammyLC. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, and share to help other people find out about My Tiny Bottles. Cheers!